You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
How can a cutting-edge user experience or user interface in your website or your product design lead to massive changes and positive changes for your business? With us today is the founder and CEO and CTO of FYC Labs, Justin Fortier. He's going to talk all things entrepreneurship, small business, AI, and technology. So excited to have him on. Justin, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Doing well.
absolutely. So tell us more about your entrepreneurial journey. What were you kind of doing before, and how did that lead you into what you're doing today?
Yeah. So we started FYC back in 2012, which is our software development agency. And it came out of working in the nightlife industry in San Diego, California. Oddly enough, my business partner at the time was doing posters and menus and creative for all the local restaurants and bars. And he came to me, and I was actually running a small club in downtown San Diego. And he came to me and said, "Hey man, can I get a job as a busboy?" I'm like, "Are you kidding? You're one of the most talented designers on the planet. Let's go do something fun together if you're looking for a job." So we started the company doing mostly websites and little stuff here and there. I ended up, both of us actually left the company for a little while. We left it to our employees for a few years. I went off and did some SaaS development in manufacturing space. He went off and worked at Udemy and Lyft and Carbon Health. He's done some amazing things out there. I went and did some blockchain stuff. It was good times from 2015, 2020, and came back to the agency in 2020 to build it out. We had an acquisition offer come in, bought out a couple partners, and the offer was there for me to leave as well. But I really enjoyed working with the person who came in and was acquiring us. So I said, "Can we just partner?" And so since 2020, we've partnered and grown the business. We actually started a consortium since. So it'll be interesting to kind of talk about that a little bit and what it's like to run multiple technology businesses, kind of like how I was back at the restaurant group. They're running multiple locations and restaurants. We're doing the same thing with technology businesses. It's kind of interesting. So that's where we're at today. It's not always easy, but it's been fun.
That's something I hear from a lot of other entrepreneurs. Sometimes they just happen to fall into entrepreneurship. They maybe didn't want to, or just the journey kind of leads them in different directions with new opportunities that they see present themselves and they want to hop on that. But that's really cool that you've had experience a little bit of everything, starting with kind of nightlife, the fun stuff, and led into more of the bigger problems to solve beyond just the creative and the menus. That's super cool. You have done everything. What has been a big pivotal moment for you as far as growing and leveraging your business? Because you've done a little bit of everything. How are you kind of making those leaps and bounds?
Yeah, I think the thing that happens after some time is you realize everything's systems driven. So it doesn't matter really what you're building, as long as you're building a system around it, you have a chance. So if you're just trying to do everything yourself, or you're trying to swing out of your league sometimes, if you haven't built in the systems, your business is going to get beat up really fast. And if you're not able to pivot when markets change, or when crucial team members leave and go do something else, it makes it really hard to survive without having a really solid system. It makes it really hard to scale and grow. So actually we're out here get scalable, an event out in Austin, helping us scale up our business, up our operations. And that's, like I said, doing a little bit of everything. Yeah, as an entrepreneur who's actually a programmer and a CTO and COO and CEO, I've done all the different pieces and realizing that it just comes down to building a system around each one of the different departments.
It's reassuring to hear you say that about the systems, because it does kind of feel like you can almost place yourself into any business and make it more successful, really build something out and improve the business that you're building there. What was it like kind of leaving the team for a few years and then coming back later? Were you still like the head owners, but you just built the systems out and they were running themselves and it was sustainable?
Yeah, at that time, the agency was still very small. So there's only 5, 6 people running the company. And we were still kind of helping out here and there, making referrals back to the business, making sure the thing didn't completely go off the rails in it. And we had good employees who were running it. It didn't necessarily grow during that time, but it just kind of survived. So it was cool to leave and go get a little bit of SaaS, building out a SaaS product. It was very cool. It made me a better developer coming back to the agency, maybe a better consultant to my clients, now knowing what it was like to actually go try to raise money and to try to get installs and close deals. So it was really invaluable to make me more empathetic to my customers, my clients. And then doing blockchain was just fun. It was just a wild time. 2016, was a great time to be doing blockchain stuff. So we did it, 2016 to 2019. Great time to be in that. Technology was at the forefront of everything we were doing, and we were building really cool stuff. And it definitely brought my game up as an engineer over those two experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, being in that position where you are the programmer, you get to see it from a unique perspective where you can now solve problems on a different level. You just know what's possible, what's capable. Was there ever like a problem that was presented to you where you're like, wow, this is over my head or what I know of already, where you had to learn more, or maybe you hired out help and just kind of expanded
Yeah.
from there?
The first time we had we won Remax. We were building out their CRM and their property listing tool for the country of Mexico. And man, that first sprint and that first build was tough. That was the first time we'd really pushed ourselves to build software and to integrate into multiple systems. We built a lot of websites at that point, but not really one as powerful and integrated. And you start to be humbled by the numbers of people who are using your products, right? Hundreds of thousands of users, 5,000 agents on there daily, and there's just massive scale. So when you have one small issue, it was overwhelming. So we stressed our systems to the max, to say the least, and it taught us to build better systems. It taught us that just because it works here, it doesn't necessarily work way up here. So building out scalable programs and the coding alone was still, there's no GPT back then. No, you can't chat GPT the whole thing. So yeah, that was definitely one where we're in over our heads, but I don't regret it 1 minute. I mean, it pushed us and it made us into a better agency, into a better group. We never lost a client. Remax was very happy with us. We're now celebrating 10 years working with them. So it's been pretty cool.
Wow, that's incredible. What a huge project and challenge to take on, but you guys just ran with it. You overcame the obstacles, even though it's way above your head at the moment. You're like, we can figure this out. We can get it done. And to not
Yeah.
have turnover with your clients, that's a huge value add and testament to the work that you do, which is incredible. You mentioned some of the blockchain that you worked with and then ChatGPT, specifically AI. I mean, this has come out it's 2, 3, 4 years old now. It seemed to be in its infancy, but now it's being integrated into every single product available, more advanced capabilities. How are you using AI? How do you see it benefiting other businesses? What should we know about it?
So you mentioned blockchain, and the excitement it's similar. It's so similar. When you go to every conference, everything is AI powered bot, the background AI going on every single app. And I remember in 2016, 2017, everything was a new DApp, a decentralized application, and everything was Web3. We went to a SaaStr, big SaaS conference out in San Francisco area, and 2020, like 2019 an era, big speakers about decentralized applications and building out DAOs and building out all this stuff. And it's all these speakers talking about all these things. And I switched back to, we went last year, 2024, same exact room. AI, this AI. I think AI is a much more influential technology recently than blockchain was able to get off the ground. I mean, blockchain definitely disrupted the banking industry. AI has disrupted everything, specifically LLMs, right? AI has been around forever. Machine learning, we've been doing this for a long time. We've all been playing video games against the CPU player, right? But it's really interesting seeing how powerful this has gotten. And the generative AI is just really cool creatively. I love seeing a lot of the creatives are jumping in and they're actually embracing it and building these beautiful worlds with it. So it's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy balance to try to understand the many benefits and pros that AI can give to us. And just like any other tool, it's how you use it. Anything can be used for good or evil. It's just how you use it to implement it. Some of the more recent updates, the video AI is getting crazy good. And even voice AI, we're now creating like voice powered assistants that can talk you through steps. It can go off of your script. Like you said, AI has been around, but it's just like crazy to see where it's gone now.
Yeah, the progression since ChatGPT 3.5 has just been incredible. So you mentioned a lot of the video and the audio. So being in the tech world, we're obviously very concerned about cybersecurity on all this, and the amount of phishing attempts and spoofing going on is crazy. So we have really doubled down on our security, working with different cybersecurity companies, auditors. We have come up with 2 new products, Virtual Auditor and Attack Vector, are 2 products that we've developed in the last couple of years that help keep our clients safe. So we are very concerned about that and keeping an eye on the security side of it all, because that is probably one thing that's about the bad side. That is happening, no question, not only on the generative AI for the voice and for the visuals, But now anybody can can chat GPT up or use Llama or whatever to build a script that does nefarious things. And that makes it way more actors who can act bad. So yeah, that's one thing we're definitely keeping an eye on.
Yeah, it's very important. And it's something that isn't even at the top of most consumers' minds or even business owners. I think that the software owner, whoever runs it or owns it, is actually taking care of that for us. But again, there's things that the government or businesses can quite keep up as fast as it's changing. Some people use an instance of the spoofing where maybe they clone like a granddaughter or grandson's voice and use it against the grandparent and say, I need you to send money, XYZ. Yeah, there's some scary uses that this could be used for. So it's good that you guys are leading the charge on that, understanding the security that's needed behind.
Yeah, it's an opportunity as well, right? From an entrepreneurial perspective, is that when there's problems, there's solutions that are needed. So we're definitely excited to help contribute. We're not excited this is the problem we have to solve, but it's exciting to be putting out products that are going to potentially help our group grow. So I mentioned a little bit about creating a consortium. It might be a cool segue into that is we've created something called the Fractal Group. So out of this agency, we've spun out now 4 products in market. We have a few others that are in development that we actually are taking to market, SaaS products. We have 3 services businesses now, and we've made a bunch of angel investments. So we're actually creating this really cool community of businesses around us, similar to that restaurant group that I mentioned. And I think this is an interesting model to be able to retain talent and to make the most out of early stage fractional leadership. So what we're doing is we're taking fractional CEOs, fractional COOs, fractional CMOs, helping these businesses get to market, fractional CTOs as well, helping build products, taking things to market. Now it's a lot of things at once. So you're wearing a lot of different hats, but as an agency, we're doing that anyways for our clients. So we're just now absorbing 5, 6 more clients, right? And we've created this really cool model that I think I'm interested to see how people react as we start getting this out there. We haven't talked too much about it, but I'm interested to see how groups will maybe want to join ours, create similar models where they're able to share talent, retain talent. It's really cool.
That sounds fascinating. And I know tons of businesses are looking for help, but they can't go 100%. So a fractional anything would be fantastic. So to have this kind of network or business group that's there to kind of bounce ideas off of each other and work together, that sounds like a great collaborative opportunity.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, there's so many of these entrepreneurs who are trying to do this alone and they just get burned out. They lose the passion. They never scale and they never even exit. A lot of them just stop their products. They just stop their project and they just go on, they go get a job and they're bitter and kind of sad. And I never wanted to be that. I would rather build stuff with my friends. We had a really great meeting last night about like, what do we all want to get out of this? And it's like, I want to just keep building products with my friends. It's just so much fun. So that's our way more fun together.
Absolutely. And that introspective moment where you can take a moment and look at yourself and say, okay, what do I like working on? What brings the most value to people? And they call it your zone of genius from the books I've read, where it doesn't feel like work, but you're helping so many people and producing these great results. And I love that you kind of take that mindset with you and just find problems to solve. You're struggling with this, let's fix that. And then it's created this, dare I say, an empire, a small empire from where you could be. What's on your 5-year plan here, considering all that you've gone through?
So we're taking this systems approach and right now focusing on go-to-marketing strategies is the big thing for the next year or so is we've gotten really good at building products. Now we got to get really good at taking it to market and building out profitable businesses. So that's year 1 is to really hone in. And I'm kind of stepping out of a technical role and more now into a marketing role. Obviously I'll take a lot of the automation and technology approach that I've had on the other pieces. So we're doing that for the next year. And then we want to go ahead and get 3 or 4 of these businesses up to an exit point. We're mindful and we're making sure we're not getting too attached to them so that, oh, no, I love this one. I can't let it go. No, we have the passion to build them, but we are very much interested in getting them to the right metrics, building up the system so that someone else can come in and take it to that next level. We love this level that we're at, the 0 to 1, go to markets. We want to just continue to keep building businesses up and then send them off and let a lot of the bigger companies with the bigger pockets who can take them further and take them to market and make more value. Like if we can just sit here and pump out great product over and over and then let them hit market and let someone else go with them and it helps more people. So yeah, in the next 5 years, we want to spin out at least 5 or 6 more products out of this model and continue building together.
That is absolutely brilliant. It almost sounds similar to like what I've seen from like Shark Tank. Are you like a baby shark in this sense where You almost kind of come in and kind of have a vested interest in building or growing. And I guess however the numbers run out, you are trying to get them to that next level and really
Yep.
build and scale. So that way they can either take a buyout or then continue growing.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll either be inviting in and doing some acquisitions or building from scratch because we have the capabilities to do so. So yeah, it's about just taking that group, but getting them to that point, using our systems, giving them the operating system that we've built, and then sending them off to the next stage.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Are there particular industries that you prefer to work with or have worked with? Or are you kind of open to everybody if they meet certain requirements?
We're in fintech for the most part and cybersecurity. Those are the two that we've gotten really good at. We have a couple products that are products in like work communication. So it's called Wondrous. And we all have another one called Spellbox that's like a GitHub Copilot competitor. So we do have some of those, but for the most part, we're focusing on fintech and cybersecurity companies.
Very nice. That is excellent. I'm going to leave this open to you. Is there anything I should ask you on what you want to talk about? Anything exciting coming up? We have so much on your plate. How do you manage it
Yeah.
all?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, we could always talk about mental health for CEOs. There's all sorts of fun things to discuss there and make sure we're getting through it all. That's actually a really interesting topic. And that's something that kind of came up last night is us all being real honest with each other about what we're all going through. We all have lives still in the background. I have 2 kids, a wife, a family out, and I'm in Northern California and life happens. And that support group and making sure your leadership, that is really important. There's a inherent bipolarism that almost happens when you're a CEO because of the ups and downs, and you start to get these swings and like your employees have to deal with you. You're not always positive and ready to go. Sometimes you're negative and you're angry. And just watched an interesting documentary on Elon Musk where he goes through a lot of that, a lot. And he has what they call demon mode. And I don't have demon mode. My employee, I'm not that bad, but there are moments where it's difficult to be working with a leader who's been pushing this hard. So that's something I think the world needs to open up on and kind of have real discussions about what does that look like and that dynamic at the top and those leaders, because a lot of times we just sort of judge them from afar and don't understand that they actually impact their teams because of their own mental health and their own things that they're going through.
Yes, absolutely. I've definitely witnessed and seen that firsthand from both when I was as an employee or just as business owner and boss, where now our mood swings and shifts and things that we have going on, just as we were talking before, you kind of mentioned like things are busy, but things are good. It's kind of like this always constant state of like, I'm super happy, but I'm also super busy. How do
Yeah.
you enjoy life between all of that? It's just crazy.
Yeah. The impact you have on others, you're the leader. So it's all going to kind of be reflected quickly back onto your team. So it's important for businesses, boards. The board of directors should, when I left the SaaS business, I was still a partner. I was still in the manufacturing business. And I made it really clear that I wanted to support the CEO. I know how hard it was. We were talking about moving the office. I'm like, hey, I don't care if it's an extra $2,000-$3,000 a month. Let's move it as close to your house so your commute is as short as possible. You are the most important person in this business and supporting that person. And we have such tough skins. It's understanding that your mood, energy levels, your health actually impacts those around you. That you start to look at it differently and say, okay, I need to take care of myself for them.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And trying to find that balance in our lives, making sure that the employees are supported and the CEO is supported. Finding that balance is super difficult, but you've made it to where you are today because you're willing to overcome a lot of those obstacles. Even right now, you mentioned that you are on like a leadership retreat. What would you recommend for other business owners or CEOs out there who are trying to level up their own game, but find that balance between work and life? What do you recommend for them? Do you recommend like books and podcasts, certain courses, or the retreats and communities even more important?
I think retreat and community has been my approach. I can't say for everyone that that'll work, but community has always been my approach. Always been a part of roundtables, done discussions like this, the beers after work with some buds. That's huge. Most of my friends are small business owners. I work in a co-working space now, and that's been amazing because they're your coworkers, but they're not in your business. So you don't have any competition. There's no like egos involved. There's just collaboration and there's just kind of commiseration. There's all sorts of just really good community with that because there's no pressure. Everyone's just asking, how's your business? Oh, it's tough this week. Had an employee leave. Oh man, let's go grab we call it beer 30 at 4:30. If you need to cut out early, you can, because you need to go talk and get it off your chest. So that's always been big for me. I do join as many as I can roundtables with other CEOs so that I can vent with them, because it is hard for employees to understand what you're going through. That's really been great. And then the other thing is just I play ice hockey. That's how I get all my aggression out.
Nice. Nothing like putting knives on your feet and then running around and beating people up, and just a
Right,
very
exactly.
high intense physical sport to kind of let that anger out. But I think that sense of community is so important. And as you mentioned, being more humble and more open about how we're really doing. I see this all the time. It's this perception, the persona that they're putting on, always trying to be stronger and the leader and intelligent. And when we just actually get real with ourselves, we can open up and kind of solve more of those issues. But first, they need to be open so they can be addressed.
Yeah, and it's a lot of CEOs or leaders think it's selfish, like, oh, I don't want to do that. But you have to realize that your mood, your health is extremely important to the rest of the group.
Yes. And since you mentioned that you were stepping out of one role to focus more on the marketing piece and with your past years of experience, how have you grown these businesses? What would you say? Is it either the marketing channel? Is it the messaging? Is it the relationships? Is it referral or
Ours
offering
is
incentives?
almost this for the services businesses, it's almost exclusively referrals and networking. So it's doing a good job keeping the client and they refer another client. That's really the main thing that's helped us grow. Now we could have grown faster, I believe, had we understood the marketing side, the go-to-market strategies a little better. But recently we've really dove into that. And that's our big push right now, is to be better at that. Going through the accounting and bookkeeping and finances, we went through, systematized, built out a good process. And I think ours is world-class now. Okay. Our engineering side, we had to go through that. We weren't that good to start. We were pretty bad programmers. There's some code I don't want to go back and see, but we got into a really good system and proved that out there. Going to market now is where our head's at. And no, I'm not a natural born marketer. That wasn't where I came from, but I can definitely figure this out. We're going to execute and we're going to hire the right people, attract the right talent as well. So the sales and marketing side will be going big next. So I don't want to wait for networking referrals for these product businesses. They need to get moving faster, and we need to make more opportunities for our team members. Now it's going to be fun. That's the big change for us.
Man, so exciting. I've met with a lot of entrepreneurs who are either starting or have recently exited, and they were working on scaling and systematizing. And that was one thing they mentioned is before you even hire anyone, you got to automate, try to systematize things. So you can, one, kind of get out of your head and let the software and systems do the work for you. Sometimes we end up running ourselves thin, thinking we have to do it all. As you mentioned, people want to hold on to their baby and they're not willing to kind of let go. And then you can hire out the team, but then the systems, it depends on the size, like it grows even more. You're like, okay, what's the biggest thing we need to work on? You kind of took it department by department.
So hard to keep it from getting too complex too, right? Entropy, what is it? The law of thermodynamics, entropy always increases, and it's so hard. You're just sitting there holding it like, no, don't get complex. Come on. Not talking about those other habits. No. We're just going to focus on this funnel right now. Just this funnel. That's it. No. I know there's better ways to retarget. I know. But we're focused on this right now. So I've been blessed to not have much distracted mind. So I can do staying on a linear focus. So that'll be helpful as we go through this. And then we'll slowly piece together this machine. And then it'll just be a matter of running everybody through the system, every product, every idea through the system, getting it out to market, and creating opportunities for our stakeholders and for our team members.
Nice. That's so cool. With people that I've seen who work in a particular industry or a role, for example, maybe those who are movie script writers or work in movies all the time, they can't see movies the same ever again because they notice the different details. Do you feel that way about software or systems or scalability now, where you run into something and say that's really good or really bad because you have a unique perspective?
If I see something bad, I'm a bit of a hater, no question. Kind of a lot of judgment on UI, UX, and a lot of opinion on things. And that's just bad experience. That's horrible. Like half the airlines experiences for a while there were just god awful, right? So they finally have been seeming to get it together. So that I can't really look at that again, because you know what you need. You know what the right thing to do is. The other side is when you see something really good, you kind of just lose it. You're like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. There's a new product called Roam Pro.am, and it's this really cool virtual co-working space. So basically you have little avatars inside of your office and you can build out these floors. I'm like, man, this is just going to be so cool for culture and being able to knock on an office and come in, and you have music playing and ambiance in the different office buildings. And when you see that and you're like, this user experience is good, it's really good, right? So you're really impressed, and then you have a little bit of jealousy because you wish
Yep.
you had thought of it. Yeah, you're right. You can't. I've seen how the sausage is made and can't can't quite consume it the same.
It's so cool, that virtual co-working space. I imagine me, I was always kind of the class clown. I am known to, I don't know, I want to talk with people and distract them a little bit. And I worry about that in the virtual space too. I just pop up in your cubicle like, hey, what's going on? I don't want to
Right.
distract people.
It
So
really has a really cool feature where there's a presentation mode. So let's say, for example, I'm giving a keynote to the group or something. If two people want to whisper, if they're sitting next to each other, they can send a whisper back and forth. So remember sitting in the back and kind of talking shit about whoever's up front, right? They need that. I get it. I don't want you to say it to my face. They have each other. That's all friendships. I mean, me and my wife met kind of sitting in the back of the classroom, talking smack about our professors. Like they need that, right? You need that interaction. So it's a pretty cool little feature.
that's funny. That mutual hatred, kind of like that scene from Step Brothers. They hate each other for a while, but they're like, "Did we just become best friends?" You're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find my someone."
Exactly.
That is so cool. Speaking of kind of the back end workings of a lot of the systems, are there like really big businesses that are built on just the absolute worst program or software design that you're like, how are they still the industry leader, or how are they so big?
Corporate world there's still a lot of IT culture is what I call it, right? So there's product culture, which is folks like myself who think about the product as an experience for the user and that the development of it isn't solved with burn down charts and sprint points, right? It's about creativity and finding the right thing for the user because we found out that was the right thing for the user, not because it happened to fit in some, roadmap that someone wrote 7 months ago who isn't even probably with the company anymore. So that is still surprising to me that IT culture still exists. I actually left the IT world right out of college. I went and picked up an IT job down in San Diego, and I didn't like the culture. It was still brutish. There was just weird competition in it, and it felt like there was no creativity, and it was still like you had to wear khakis. So it wasn't happening. I wanted to be a hacker. I wanted to be in tech that way. So I left IT in 2007 and then didn't come back again until about 2012. So it still surprises me. Like you said, the one thing that like, all these people are on the systems, that they're still doing this IT culture, that it's still pervasive because I don't know, some people just are ingrained and I don't see those people innovating or building anything interesting in the next 20 years.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I would imagine that it's going to take some sort of next level event, similar to how COVID rechanged commercial office space or work from home. There has to be like a really big shift where that becomes, the new normal for that IT culture.
Yeah. I mean, I think it might be AI and GPT, right? Because now the people building products, it's getting further and further away from being just the non-creative engineer only to now a more kind of creative engineer blend. Someone who can think of an idea, use AI to generate some of the content that they otherwise would have needed to spend months gathering, but also has enough of an engineer mind that they know how to build out a thing. So yeah.
That is exactly it. And that was something people mentioned that, AI is going to replace quite a few jobs, but there will be new jobs created from them, specifically maybe a prompt engineer. And you even specifically need, like you mentioned, that industry knowledge or that position knowledge to know what words or prompt to give to it. I don't have enough videography experience to tell ChatGPT what I need from some sort of scene. What are the lighting elements? How does it look? What's the foreground? Like, I don't
Right.
know those terms. So you definitely need someone to engineer the prompt and know that position or skill in order to make use of any sort of ChatGPT, LLM, or any AI.
Right. I mean, they used to call those unicorns, the product manager, right? Because the product manager could speak both business and tech. So they had the mind, they could help guide the engineering team. They understood some of the problems and who to put in place to get through the blockers. That's where I actually started out as product manager and then moved my way toward deeper into engineering. But that was kind of a unicorn for a while, was somebody who could do both. And now it's even more important because now it's instead of engineers you're just talking to GPT, but you do need to know enough about what you're trying to build in order to get there. And also you need to know how to train the models too. So we've been using the assistants, APIs, and the agents to build out. There is a Justin bot out there. I built a bot for myself. I fed it with my LinkedIn. I fed it with this podcast. As soon as I get a transcript from the podcast, it'll go into the Justin bot and it'll help it helps train this version of myself. So when our marketing team needs to get material, sometimes they go there first. It's incredible. It's really interesting, but to build and train these agents and these little GPTs, is becoming an important skill that says, hey, this is going to answer it a very specific way, and we're going to be able to pump out content quickly. We actually built a really cool product called Page, Paige, and it's a landing page builder that you feed it all of kind of your proprietary insight. Well, not all, like, it's not going to tell your secrets, but you give it the information about your company that makes you interesting. And then when it generates pages out, it's not just GPT general knowledge. It's actually specific to your business, to your company, uses your voice. So it's really cool.
That is really cool. And I love that feature with the system memory with ChatGPT. And like you said, the agents where they can now work within parameters. We have something similar as a product offering through our service, the AI employees, where you teach them like a goal or a task objective you want them to work for. And they work within the system to nurture your contacts, reach out to them. They can take payments, do scheduling. It's like having your own personal assistant now, which is pretty crazy. And even like replicating yourself. There will come a time where I will have a Chris Troka AI assistant that is just all me, my quirks, and whatever I want to feed it. And same for Justin, which is just super cool, but it's going to be continually learning about you and adjusting over time. I heard within a lot of LLMs and AI that they need original content in order to continue because they're not creating, they're just replicating. Do you see that as an issue as well? Or is the public understanding behind how it works just a bit skewed?
I think you're right in that it needs to continue to gain original content. It's basically climbed the entire internet so far, right? I don't know if that's actually true, if it's gotten every piece of information, but it's important that we still create and we still have these conversations and we feed at least to our own assistants, to our own agents, right? So that's where my head's at. As for where most of the public from my conversations, they're just scratching the surface and trying to understand this thing, right? Like it surprises me when I go talk to folks and they're like, oh, GPT, yeah, I've heard of that. I haven't used it. I'm like, are you kidding?
Yes.
When you live in a rock?
It's funny. I'll mention AI and they're like, what do you mean AI? Like robots? And I'm like, no, like ChatGPT. They're like, what chat? What? I'm like, wow, you don't even know about this.
Oh,
So
no.
to see the big discrepancy between people who don't even know what it is, people who know it and don't know what it's capable of, and people who are kind of leading the charge, showing people, hey, this is what you can do with this thing. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, there's people who are blowing me away. Like they're just doing such cool stuff with it. And it's actually opened people now back up into learning more about machine learning and getting back into the Python side of things and predictive analytics. And it's kind of reinvigorated some friends of mine who might have been moving away from AI back when it was mostly machine learning, predictive analytics. So it's in matching algorithms and things like that. So it's actually bringing more people into the overall kind of old school AI as well. So it's really cool. We're going to have better and better predictions. Our weather mapping is going to be better. It's going to be interesting, but we got to be careful.
Yes, absolutely. Have you seen some really terrible use cases of AI? Personally, me, I was not a big fan of the Facebook, Instagram, removing the search bar to say, hey, ask our Meta AI, whatever you want. I'm like, I'm trying to search for a post or my friend and it's not giving me that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, this is not a good use of this conversational AI.
One big one that's annoying me, we use a tool called ClickUp to do our project management. It's a really big, broad tool, solves a lot of problems for us. But I'm sure they're going to hate me if they see anybody on there hears this. But like their AI is just annoying and in the way. You're trying to get your tasks done. You're trying to click a couple check boxes, and it's like, do you want us to summarize your day? And I'm like, no, I want to keep working. Like, I don't summary. I don't need a summary of every summary and then more summaries of summaries. Yeah.
It is so true. It seems like they will annoy you at the worst times, taking away from your productivity when they should be enhancing them. There has to be some sort of feature where you can turn off those notifications. Because it's interrupting your workflow there. You're like, no, I don't need this summary. I've already summarized. Thank you for the summarization.
And the 55 emails you get after every meeting that you're on, and so everybody's different AI, sending stuff over and all these different interpretations, although they're pretty funny to watch, listen to sometimes. Sometimes people forget that they're on. And it doesn't quite get sarcasm yet. So
that is one big issue there. But I do love the use cases and the humor behind AI. I saw someone who said, like, I asked ChatGPT to craft an email out of an idea. And then the receiver of the email said, I took that email and said, can you break it down for me? So they basically kind of just reversed, put it back to each other. But I feel like that's the summary game with AI assistants. Many can be very helpful, but like you said, we have to be cautious and careful.
one really fun thing that I've been playing Mad Libs. Remember that game?
Yes.
Mad Libs? I've been playing Mad Libs with my kids on ChatGPT. It's been really fun. It's so cool that it figured that out almost instantly and made it like just came up with an infinite number of Mad Libs, infinite number of topics. It's so fun.
Wow, that is so incredible. That is
Yeah.
so cool. Man, I love your knowledge, your experience, all that you've contributed and continue to do. with all the work. Where can people find out more about you online?
So our main company is FYC Labs. That's the creative agency and software development agency that I'm brought up, and that's fyclabs.com. You can always contact me, Justin at fyclabs.com, or hang out with me on LinkedIn, Justin Fortier. Search it. I think there's only a couple of us. You'll see that it says FYC on there. But yeah, LinkedIn's great. I post pretty consistently, always engaging with other people on there and learning about new stuff. That is my go-to kind of town hall.
Very nice. And we'll have links available down in the description and the show notes so everyone can easily get connected with Justin here. Justin, any last party words of wisdom? I'm sure we could talk for another few hours. We could have, part 6 of this episode here to continue the conversation.
Just be safe, be good. We're your CEOs. We're was it like a Silicon Valley? Poor billionaires. Billionaires need support. CEOs need your support. So yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
You're incredible, man. Thanks so much for the wonderful conversation here. Appreciate it. Keep up the great work out there.
Thanks.